Hey guys, Eric Smith here, 5 Reasons Sports contributor, also co-host on Scouting the Fins, and let's talk some Minkah Fitzpatrick. Miami traded away 2 players who many hoped would return day 3 picks, and in return they got a Pro Bowl safety. So you can have issues with how he got to that point, but I'm not sure, based on where we were on Tuesday, how you can look at this trade and be mad about it. Minka's usage is going to be a big thing that's talked about with his return to Miami. In his lone full season with Miami, his rookie season, he actually lined up more as a corner than a safety, playing 379 snaps in the slot and 281 as an outside corner. Looking over his last 3 seasons, which were all Pro Bowl seasons with the Steelers, Minkah was more of a safety, but still a very versatile piece of the puzzle. In 2022, he had 161 box snaps, 112 in the slot, 14 as a wide corner, and 640 as a free safety. In 2023, had a similar number of box snaps at 157, played a little more in the slot at 149, still not a lot wide at 23 snaps, and then 270 at free safety. For 2024, I don't have a full breakdown, but I do know that his box usage was up and that he played a total of 218 snaps in the box in 2024. And I think that when you talk about Fitzpatrick's alignments, it's largely going to depend on which games you've watched. I have watched every snap from 2024, and I think it largely depends on one, the opponent. It seemed like against mobile quarterbacks, so the Commanders, the Eagles, the Ravens, those were all games where Minkah played a little more in the box, a little more slot, closer to the line of scrimmage. And you also saw, the teams that have strong tight ends tended to have Fitzpatrick in man coverage more than some of the other opponents that he played. And the other big thing was his partner at safety seemed to be a significant factor. He was playing more single high or split field looks when he was paired with former Dolphin safety Deshaun Elliott. And when he was paired with DeMonte KZ, he was playing a lot closer to the line of scrimmage with KZ playing that, more of a deep role. So as we get into film breakdown here, offensive line is my specialty, so I'm not going to be honing in on the finer details of defensive back play like I do with the trench guys, but I do still feel like I have a good understanding of football in general, and I think there's, plenty that we can take away from Minka's 2024 film. One of the main things you're going to hear people talk about with Minkah as a safety is his ability to see things in front of him and drive on the ball going forward. So that's where we're going to start the film review from Minkah Fitzpatrick. All right, so first one here, this is going to be Minkah up here, top of your screen. This is a 3 safety look. You can see the third safety down here near the line of scrimmage. He's going to bail deep at the snap of the ball. Other safety is right here. We're going to see the 2 safeties that are currently deep coming up into this hook to curl area. And you're going to see that the safety down here on the bottom of the screen, he's going to be the one that essentially breaks up the play, but this is a third down play. And you can see that even if the other safety wasn't there, Minkah was doing a good job driving on that ball, and he was going to get that deflection to break up the pass on third down. Next one here, so this is going to be Minkah playing more of a strong safety role. And you can see at the free safety here, number 23, like we talked about, different pairings, he's going to roll to that deep coverage. And we're going to see Minkah again doing a good job of breaking forward on a pass on third down, right? Sees that, drives on it, able to wrap the tight end up, and then get some assistance preventing the first down. All right, on this one, we're going to get Minkah back here starting deep, but we're going to get another inverted look. This safety is going to drop back to the deep coverage. Can't see the sticks right now, but Minkah is basically going to come up and play the sticks. And then we're going to see him drive forward and prevent another first down here. As you can see, tight ends coming underneath. Minkah sitting at the sticks here, right? Seeing what's developing And he's doing a good job of anticipating, breaking on this ball, and as soon as it's caught, making the tackle well short of the first down. All right, so on this one, we're going to get Minkah in more of a true free safety look, single high coverage here. Going to have a cover one look with man coverage underneath. Key part here is Deshaun Elliott matched up on Brock Bowers. This is a first down play. And you can see that, Bowers is winning to the inside. And a big part of that is probably that Elliott knows that he has Minkah to the inside here. But you can see that, again, early recognition by Minkah, seeing the space that's created in the middle there by the route combinations, knowing that Bowers is likely to run the slant, and he's breaking on that early, able to get in there, make a quick tackle after the catch. All right, this one's going to be a second down play, given a pre-snap split safety look, but we're going to see Minkah stepping up here, the other safety rolling back. Got this three receiver combination on the top of the screen, and you're going to see that they're running some switch type routes where they're trying to create some confusion, and Minkah just doing a good job of being able to watch that happen in front of him, see the receiver get open, and be able to break on it and make a quick tackle on second down here again, short of the sticks. All right, last one here for driving on passes in front of him. So this is going to be Minkah down here as an outside cornerback. We talked about teams with mobile quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson. We talked about teams with good tight ends and Isaiah Likely. This is going to be a man coverage scheme. And on the snap of the ball, you can see that his receiver doesn't leak out right away, but Minkah's still very patient. No reason to run up there and get caught up in the wash. But as those players are leaking out, you can see that Minkah does a good job of staying with it and knowing where his help is here. He doesn't make the play, but just his ability to trigger forward and get into a good position, good leverage, knowing where his help is. That's the reason that, this goes from when the ball's thrown here, right? If Isaiah Likely catches this and Minkah does not get that outside leverage, there's all kinds of space here. But Minkah gets that spot quickly and is able to turn him back inside where he's got plenty of help. All right, let's talk about Minkah as a deep safety. Like we talked about in the previous clips, he does a good job of seeing stuff in front of him and reacting. I don't think it's fair to expect a deep safety to break up everything that comes his way, but I think the bigger goal in these situations is to keep a lid on the offense, and we're going to see some of that in these clips. So we can see Minkah here at the top. He's going to flip his hips and react to the top there. Obviously an incomplete pass, but in this situation, he's reacting from the hash mark, getting almost all the way to the sideline. Even had that been completed, had it been a great throw, Minkah was still going to be in a good position to limit the run after catch in that scenario. Another one here. On this one, we've got Minkah down here as your free safety. Going to see coverage rolling up, Minkah rolling deep. And again, just being able to see the stuff in front of him, be able to flip his hips, right? Quarterback's eyes are going to take him to Minkah's right to start, but he's able to read and react. And obviously this ball was intercepted by number 24, but you can see that Minkah was going to be in a great position to make a play if that didn't happen. Next one here, again, we've got him playing this deep center field look. Got some play action. And another one here where, it's not the deep, not the deep center fielder stuff, but he's got that deep coverage, still able to see what's in front of him. And this is a catch, a first down, but if Minkah doesn't make this play, I don't know who else is. He's probably running for a bit. So I still like this play from Minkah, able to react to what's in front of him as a deep safety and make a quick tackle. Next one here again, rolling back here into this deep coverage, moving more towards the middle of the field. And catch is made here, right? But even with a better throw, another one where just the angle that Minkah's taken, his ability to get to the sideline there is, going to prevent this from being a touchdown pass on one where the corner is beat. And then last one here for the deeper looks. We're going to have Minkah up here, top of the screen. And is going to be reacting to a pass on the sideline to the top of the screen here. Rolling to a, too high look, right? Cover two. And good read by the quarterback here, throwing it to the hole. But you can see that Minkah's doing a great job reacting over there. Not a huge hit, but enough to dislodge the ball at the catch point. All right, next we're going to talk about Minkah in man coverage, and most of these are going to be against tight ends, but we know that tight ends have been an issue for Miami in the past, so this move goes a long way towards not having to worry as much. So here we have Minkah back here in a safety look. He's going to be in man coverage with the tight end there, and we're going to see this tight end going into motion, Minkah adjusting to it. And, ball's not getting thrown to the tight end here, but still including it because I like how well Minkah is working through traffic and still able to get to the hip on that tight end. Next one here got Minkah down in the slot. Again, manned up on the tight end. We're going to see him walk up and press coverage on a slant. And this is a first down play. But just a good job being physical at the line of scrimmage and being able to, contest the catch. Get, a little physical there, but inside of 5 yards, you can get away with that. And, good job here of being really sticky with the tight end. Next one here, we're going to get Minkah as a deep safety. Looking at what we have going on up front here, more of a zone look, but we're going to get this defender coming off the edge, and Minkah is going to be in man coverage against that player that's here on the wing. And you can see that as this play starts getting a chip, Minkah's adjusting up. Third down play, able to rally up and make a play in open field. And this is not an easy tackle, right? We've seen Javon Holland just, shoot like a missile past a guy like this and give up a first down or more, right? So being in coverage, coming from 15 yards deep, and still being able to make a tackle well short of the third down by himself. Big play here by Minkah. Next one, this is Minkah down here in the box, very much a man look, and he's going to be man-to-man with Mark Andrews. And on this one, he is going to give up the reception, right? But not all, you're not going to break up every pass. Still think it's key that Minkah is able to be in pretty solid position there. And, the big part there is that, again, lots of open space there, right? If Andrews is able to catch that and turn up field, is going to turn to a big gain. But, Minkah is still able to do a good job of getting him to the ground and limiting the damage. And then last one here, again from man coverage, got Minkah down here in the slot, man-to-man against Andrews. And on this one, we're going to see Andrews running a bit of a flag route here. And you can just see that Minkah's all over that all the way. As Andrews is turning outside there, Jackson's throwing that to the sideline. And Minkah's just in a great position that, if that ball was in a place where Andrews could catch it, there's a decent chance that that one's turning into an interception. Next up, open field tackling. Let's talk about it first. It's one of the hardest things to do in the NFL, and we're going to have some ugly reps here. But if you watch an entire season of safety play like I just did, I think you can find an appreciation for Minkah's patience and calculated approach as the last line of defense. It's not perfect, but I'm still pretty comfortable with his odds versus most ball carriers in the NFL. First one here, Going to get Minkah as a deep safety here, and that's going to be where he is on most of these, right? Open field, last line of defense. Kind of expect that. And on this one, you can see, ball to the sideline, and not a big tackle by any means here, right? But still doing a good job of using the sideline, understanding that if he cuts back, he's got a little bit of help underneath, and all he's got to do is run him out of bounds here, right? Not a huge hit, not the we saw Javon Holland light somebody up on the sideline against the Ravens a couple of years ago. Not that type of play at all, right? But just in position to prevent this from being a touchdown, which is essentially best case scenario considering what we had here. Next one here got Minkah as the safety towards the bottom of your screen. This is going to be a completion to the tight end. And again, right, in a perfect world, we'd all love to see those safety with the big hits. But in this case, he understands that number 24 is moving in to make that tackle, and he doesn't really need to be part of it. He just needs to be there as a safety valve in case 24 misses the tackle, which he did, but we've still got Minkah in good position to harmlessly take that tight end out of bounds and end that play. Here got Minkah deep again. And on this one, we're going to get the running back leaking out of the backfield. Going to have him making Patrick Queen miss and get past the linebacker. And you can see there that, again, not a big tackle here, but you can just see that open space, Minkah is able to settle down, be in good position, and just make that solid calculated tackle and get him to the ground. Here it is Minkah deep again. We're going to get a now pass to the wide receiver here on the bottom of your screen. Going to have a missed tackle by the cornerback. And once again, you can see that, Minkah is not being over aggressive here. No reason for it. You can see that as he's pursuing up there, he's working to the outside because he has all that help to the inside. That receiver also sees all that help to the inside, and he's just working to the sideline. And Minkah does a good job of using the sideline to his advantage and, not necessarily a tackle, but ending the play, limiting the damage as a safety. All right, now we're going to get one where Minkah gets beat. So he is here in the middle of the screen. We're going to get a slant from the receiver down here in the slot. And we're going to see that, Minkah is not able to wrap him up here, right? It happens. This is Garrett Wilson, one of the, more elusive wide receivers in the NFL. Minkah's in solid position to start, but, gets a little happy with his feet. And as he's breaking down the play, he hops to the outside. Wilson sees that, cuts to the outside, and he's able to beat Minkah to the outside. Like I said, not going to be perfect on all these reps. On this one, deep safety, going to be a run play. Running back's going to pop through the line of scrimmage, and you can see that Minkah's just in good position. Again, not going to get up there, not going to be a thumper, not going to lay the wood, but in good position to meet that running back as he's coming out of traffic, wrap him up, try to go for the split or strip, right? But he's able to slow the running back down enough to get some help there at that point. Going to get another missed tackle on this one, very similar to the earlier one. This is going to be Minkah, top of your screen. Going to get the receiver again coming on a slant route. Almost exactly the same, except for the receiver beats him over top this time. And this is just, again, one of those deals, right? This is a lot of space to cover. And you're facing one of the fastest receivers in the league in Terry McLaurin. You got a little more help to the inside there versus letting him get to the outside. There's not a great decision here. Minkah kind of settles down, not able to make the tackle, but this is literally one of the hardest tackles that you can make in the league. All right, I know the last one I said is one of the hardest tackles you can make. This is Minkah playing deep. This is going to be Derrick Henry busting through the line. That's probably a bit of a tougher assignment. There he is busting through the line. Minkah's the last line of defense. And again, certainly not going to expect Minkah to lower the boom here. But as Henry's getting into open space, Henry's not the most elusive guy, but this is still a ton of space to be able to cover, right? So Minkah is just kind of patient with it, able to react, able to trip him up. Not sure what else you'd really hope for out of Minkah. I mean, again, not gonna get up there, put his shoulder into him, and stop this for a 15-yard gain. So we've seen Henry get those long runs that end up in the end zone. So the ability to be able to settle down, pursue, and just get him to the ground before he gets into the end zone, in my opinion, is a win on this one. This one here is going to end up being a blown coverage, and this is Minkah at the top of your screen. And after the play, you can see him talking to the linebacker up here as if he expected the linebacker to stay with Isaiah Likely on the outside here. But again, reason we're including it for Minkah here is regardless of whose blown coverage it was, at this point here, right, Jackson's making the right read, finding that blown coverage, getting the ball to Isaiah Likely in open field, right? And here you are that, all that's between Isaiah Likely and the end zone right now is Minkah. Minkah's doing a solid job of, know he's got some help inside if he can buy some time and he has the sideline to work with. So in this case, I thought they did a good job given the situation of being able to slow Likely down and be able to help get him to the ground while his help rallies to that point. And like I said, you can see as Mink is getting up here, he's talking number 51, and they're talking about that coverage. All right, here we are with the Ravens again. Got Minkah playing deep, and we're going to have Derrick Henry, right, like a train on the tracks, just flying through there. And this is going to be absolutely a highlight play for Derrick Henry. But he gets stiff armed to the ground. I think we had, some really good still shots of that. But, if you look at the overall perspective of it, right, if Minkah is not there or Minkah just dies for some legs in this case, then Henry is probably going to walk into the end zone. So, yes, Minkah got mushed to the ground, ugly looking play. But without Minkah essentially getting in the way, right, then we don't have the opportunity to make the tackle here. So this is just an example of, a lot, I don't want to say a lot of times, but the safety doesn't always have to make the tackle. Sometimes he just has to be in the way enough to let his help get there. And then last one here for the open field tackles, got Minkah Fitzpatrick down here around the 12-yard line. And this is going to be one where Isaiah Likely catches the ball, breaks a tackle, and Fitzpatrick's able to make a touchdown saving tackle, right? Just another good example of open field. A little more aggressive than we've seen with some of the other ones in terms of the tackling here, but able to wrap up the legs there and get him to the ground. Nice tackle to prevent a touchdown. Run defense is definitely not Minkah's favorite part of playing defense, but he still shows some ability there to either play the run from in the box or to trigger from depth in run support, which is what we're going to see on this one. Right? It's not always open field tackles. You can see here that, in a, zone blocking scheme, safety has that cutback lane. Minkah's able to get up there and, not going to send Derrick Henry back, right? But not shying away from contact there, able to get him to the ground. Next one here again, have Minkah back here playing deep. And on that one, going to have a zone read, right? And again, on this one, the safety's got quarterback help there essentially, reading it and reacting to it, and does a solid job here of being able to trigger from 15 yards deep and still able to make the tackle on the run. Here we have Minkah playing in the box against the Eagles. And again, another zone blocking run here. And you can see that Minkah starts out with the receiver, but he's able to adjust inside. Going to get his shoulder in there, not really wrapping up, right? But still able to do enough to help get Saquon to the ground. This one here is not a run. It's going to be a swing pass out here on the perimeter, but still including in this section just because it shows how good of a job Minkah does, able to see that trigger, get downhill, right, and run the lane to make that tackle. Here we're going to get another zone read. Got Minkah again playing from depth, and he's going to recognize that immediately that Lamar Jackson is taking it. And once again, right, when we look at the amount of space that he has to work with there, didn't make the tackle. And I don't know whether this gets counted as a missed tackle or not, but if we look at the space that's here, right, if Minkah goes to the inside and Jackson gets to the outside, then he might be looking at an 85-yard touchdown run. So Minkah's ability to trigger from depth, break down enough to force Jackson to the inside is a win in this situation. Allows his defense to be able to rally and get him down pretty close to the first down marker on a third down play. And then last one for these run support ones, going to have Minkah up here. Ball's going to be run to the right. And not a big tackle here by any means. But if you watch the way that Minkah is approaching this, right, it looks like he is approaching this to the outside, but is seeing Henry, cut back to the middle based on this tight ends block. And Minkah does a good enough job reacting inside and, getting a leg of Henry wrapped up, which helps to get him to the ground. And then the last, couple sets of clips that we're going to look at here are kind of contrasting things. The first one is going to be Minkah passing up some opportunities for big hits. We think about safety. We think about, the Rashad Jones days that, when you got a shot at a ball carrier, that they typically like to see that. And that's just not Minkah's style. You can see it on this one, right? This running back is starting to get wrapped up. Good opportunity for, Minkah to lower his shoulder and inflict some pain. But that's not really the way that he plays. And, it can be frustrating to watch it sometimes when that's what you're hoping for out of a safety. But at the same time, there's something to be said about it. Another opportunity here, receiver coming across the middle, and Minkah's going to get in there, going to try to punch the ball out, but feels like an opportunity that you could have made that receiver pay a little bit for going over the middle. But the benefit to this is that, Minkah has missed very little time due to injury, and this is going to be him on the back end of the defense here. So, while it can be frustrating to watch at times, I would say, right, another opportunity you could really get lower on Devontae Adams, and maybe, today in the targeting penalties limits some of that, and maybe, it can be considered playing smart. Well, it should be considered playing smart, both from a penalty perspective and from a Minkah staying healthy standpoint. It's not necessarily the worst thing, but it does leave a little bit left to be desired when you're used to those safeties delivering the big hits. And like I said, we're going to contrast that a little bit. We get down into short yardage or goal line situations. We do see Minkah giving, that type of effort that we talked about with safeties. Here he is going to be coming from depth here. And, in this one, as the running back is breaking through the line, he's getting wrapped up. And you see Minkah putting his shoulder in there, right, trying to limit those extra yards on this one. And then on this one, we got Minkah here walking up. He's going to blitz. Not going to be part of this play at all, right? But it does still show some toughness that you're able to get in there and try to shoot that B gap, knowing, darn well that left tackle is probably going to put you into the ground. So, it does take some toughness to be able to stick your nose in there and be able to do that. And then on this one, we're going to get, again, Minkah coming from depth. And this isn't going to be, big hit type of play, but you can see that he's not sitting back and waiting for the running back to get into open field. He's getting in there in traffic And, running back ends up getting wrapped up by the linebacker. But Minkah's still in a good position to get a shoulder on him here if the linebacker doesn't. So, just showing good intentions in terms of safety play there. On this one, going to get Minkah playing up here in a linebacker role. And this is going to be a zone run to the left. And you can see that Minkah's, again, not sitting back. He is being aggressive, getting up into the line of scrimmage, and able to make that tackle on Barkley in the backfield. And then, similar idea here. He's playing off the edge. He is going to essentially run blitz to the inside here, going after Henry on the zone read. But, you can see that he's not looking to necessarily avoid the contact there. He doesn't, get the head in front, old school tackling technique. But, he's still wrapping up Henry knowing that's, far from an easy assignment. All right, that's all the film I have in me for today. I hope this review has given you an idea of the different ways that Minkah can be used by Anthony Weaver in this defense, and I think it's critical to set your expectations. What I would suggest is you expect a chameleon type player who is at least effective in everything he does. He's going to be better as a free safety or covering tight ends in the slot, but he's perfectly capable of playing in the box or even on the perimeter at times. I wouldn't expect bone jarring tackles or highlight hits at the catch point, but I would expect is a very smart and calculated player that'll get his teammates in the right spots and can give you confidence on the back end of the defense to be able to take some risks in front of him. And all that while also being able to moonlight as a tight end eraser when that's needed. There's no guarantee this move fixes the secondary, but I do think it goes a long way towards making it more respectable than it was before he got here. As always, appreciate you guys watching. Leave some comments below, and we'll talk again soon.